So I've been asking around all day, trying to get an idea from the general public about this Bears Commanders game tonight. And I learned two things. One, the Bears suck. And
Bingo.
even people who don't follow football whatsoever say the same things about the Chicago Bears. And two, I might be the only human on earth that has any confidence that the Bears might get their first win tonight. We're live. We're live, episode 2. And we got Thursday Night Football coverage tonight, among some other things, power ratings, and a new segment that we'll get to at the end here. It's a beautiful, beautiful Thursday night. We thank you guys for joining us, whoever is joining us. Those of you who are here, we ask that you subscribe if you're not subscribed already.
Hit the button,
if you are
bro.
subscribed, tell others to subscribe. Help us out. If you're listening to this after, follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you're watching after, still subscribe. Turn on the bell. Let's get right to some Thursday Night Football coverage. We got I don't know what to call it. We have an interesting game tonight. We've got Commanders Bears.
The first Thursday night game that hasn't excited anybody this current season. I will say that.
This is a tough game to follow. The Detroit Fighting Lions and the Packers.
I'll give you that. It is a tough game to follow that. Not a lot of league-wide interest in this game. But there are some things, if you look past the teams in the game, there are some things statistically that could make this game at least somewhat interesting. Thursday Night Football is not getting their money's worth on this one, I'll tell you that. But we got a 5.5-point spread. Commanders are 5.5-point favorites. That line might have moved to 4.5 in the last 24 hours, but we locked it in at 5.5. So that's what we got here. We got both two teams here. Two teams here coming off of somewhat interesting games. You could call them two breakout games technically. Justin Fields had a really good first half. The Commanders had a really good game against the Eagles. They always have the Eagles number, like we said on Tuesday. But the Bears blew that lead, and the Commanders could not get it done. So call it what you will. They're both coming off of very close, call them heartbreaking losses. General thoughts on this game, boys. General thoughts.
It's a game, we're as football fans, I'm excited for football, obviously, but like this being whoever looked at the schedule and was like, this needs to be a primetime game, missed. They missed. I think this has potential. It has potential to be a good, entertaining game. Because I think we're going to see the emergence of Sam Howell here, and I think that's a bit exciting because I'm personally a fan of Sam Howell, and we get to see the decline of Justin Fields and hopefully the soon-to-be cutting of him.
To defend Thursday Night Football, just a little bit. You look at these teams preseason. The Commanders were supposed to have one of the best defenses in the league. They're built with first-round draft picks. They're supposed to be explosive. Plain and simple, they're really not so far. They've given up, I think, 1,200 yards in 4 games. 2-2, not looking great. They're -8 in the turnover margin. This Bears team, they got a boosted offensive line. They got some new targets for Justin Fields. I don't think your running back room upgraded, but
yeah, definitely fell off with losing David Montgomery.
You looked like you should have improved a little. So this game going into the season might have been a decent buy for Thursday Night Football. It's not looking good right now, though.
I was going to say, starting the season, there was a lot of hype around this Bears team. There were people saying that Justin Fields may have started to figure something out in that offense. He himself was saying that, and people around the team were saying that Justin Fields looked a lot better this year than what he has in the previous couple seasons. That being said, we all know what has happened this year. Not exactly what you want to see. Same thing with the Commanders. You could have exactly tailing off of what Ethan said. The defense looked absolutely scary and on all levels, and they held the Eagles early in that game, and then they fall apart when time comes. So you have no way, going into the season, you can look at these two teams and be like, this should be a good game because of the progression of certain players and how the league goes. You look at this game and you say, fine. And I would say that it was a boom game for both teams last week. There is the asterisk because they did not pull out the the win at the end of the game. That is kind of a knock on them, but Justin Fields looked really good through the first, couple quarters of that game, putting up 28 early, 4 touchdowns, had one of his best passing days. He can do it.
Yeah.
He showed it last week, and then obviously he folds at the end of the game and throws an interception, not what you like to see. And
per the usual with Fields, which we'll get to. Matchup wise, with these two teams on paper, it's a really good game. Let's look at some key players here. For both sides, it's going to be the run game. We'll start with Brian Robinson Jr. for the Commanders. The Bears' rush defense ranks bottom of the league. I believe they're 32nd in the league.
I think they're 32nd
in rush defense. Robinson is running for 4.3 yards per pop and has 260 yards and 3 touchdowns on the season so far. Fantasy owners, if you got Robinson, I would look for a decently large game out of him tonight. The Bears give up a lot of yards on the ground. He's going to get a lot of yards on the ground. That run game in general should be boosted for the Commanders tonight. Sam Howell's running for 20.5 yards a game. There's a lot of players like Terry McLaurin that have the ability to get in space and make plays against this Bears team. This Bears team also ranks dead last. Technically, it would be first, but dead last in missed tackles so far on the season.
You're not winning games with that.
So there's a lot of playmakers on this Commanders team, if played right, that can make a lot of big plays tonight.
I think Brian Robinson is going to have a very big game. I mean, especially if they have all these missed tackles, because he's one that can avoid tackles. He can go through you. He can go around you. He can break you anyway. And that offensive line doesn't look too bad. Like last week against a very physical up front of the Eagles looked pretty solid until close to the end there. And I think we see Brian Robinson kind of just have a heyday against the Bears defense.
I think you're right. Let's look at Bears key players. Guys, I got nothing but Justin Fields here. Justin Fields is going to be the key to a matchup like this. Washington gives up the 3rd most yards to quarterbacks in the NFL on the ground, obviously. Fields is rushing for 33.5 yards per game. He has not had a breakout running game yet this season. If he's going to have one, that has to be this game. They have to create plays for him to use his legs. You remember the beginning of last season. Obviously, they're on a 14-game losing streak right now. Remember the beginning of last season when they were winning games and people thought this Bears team could, compete. They could go at least 500, maybe be up there for that division, and then they crumble. But he was running for 130-plus yards a game. I don't think he's got a game over 50 so far this season. They've got to get him involved on the ground. Beyond that, the Commanders rank 20th in the league in pressure rate and sacks. Fields already has 2.75 seconds per drop back. He's going to have plenty of time to make plays tonight. He's going to have plenty of time to throw the ball. And he's got to be involved all over the field if the Bears want to win this game. Here is the most interesting numbers out of Justin Fields and the Bears in general. Justin Fields has to close out games. Other than their matchup in Kansas City, the obvious outlier, they got blown out same weekend as the Broncos there. The Bears are +7 in scoring margin in the first half of games. They are -38 in the second half, also not including that Chiefs game. Here are Justin Fields' stats in clutch time, in the final 3 minutes of his game, specifically in his last 14-game losing streak. He is 16 for 34. This is not per game. This is over all of those games. 16 for 34. He has 143 yards passing. His touchdown to interception ratio is 1-6. And his passer rating is 29. He has got to take over this game if the Bears want to win their first game this season. It has to be Justin Fields.
I couldn't agree more. And I think last week with his passing, we got to see a little glimpse. He got to break down that Broncos defense a little bit, which, has guys like Pat Surtain, who is, was touted as one of the best corners in the league coming into this year. And, dotted him up. He dotted him up early. I agree he has to be able to close games. Those stats are absolute trash.
Yeah.
I like Justin Fields. I am a fan of Justin Fields. I will say this until the day I die. I'm gonna be on his side because I think I agree. If you get this guy running the football, add another dimension. I saw a play on a 4th down and 1 last week when in every if you watch the Eagles, they're gonna do a tush push. If you watch the Niners, they're also gonna do a tush push. There are teams that excel at doing the tush push. Justin Fields
it's been
is
renamed.
a one-man wrecking crew.
Been renamed.
Oh, what is it?
Let's show some love to the brotherly shove.
Brotherly shove. Okay.
Thank you.
That's good. I'll give him that. The brotherly shove.
I like tush push.
I like them both.
But anyways,
sorry, continue.
So in a 4th and 1 at the end of the game, to ice the game, essentially, the Bears had a chance and they handed the ball off to Khalil Herbert last week. I do not care. Justin Fields is the best offensive player on that team. He needs to have the ball in his hands in those moments. Yep. And the fact that the play calling is saying that he needs to hand that ball off. If I'm Justin Fields, I look at my offensive coordinator and I go, no, this is I need to take over. I need to get this yard. I can do that. I am an athlete. I am fast. I am strong. I can get a yard on 4th down and win this ball game. And I feel like he is too young in his development. He doesn't think he has that power yet as a starter in this league and as someone who, has been starting. And I think it could be a confidence thing. It could be any number of things, but the coaches just do not, I guess, trust him at that point. But I feel like, why wouldn't you?
I feel like they have a pretty sound reason to not trust him based on the fact that I think since he's came into the NFL, leads the league in fumbles, and I mean it shows that he's not very good in the clutch time.
I don't think that's true. I think Daniel Jones actually leads.
Daniel Jones might be number 1, but he's definitely Justin Fields is up there because I mean last year we looked at it, he had I think 7 or 8 fumbles that he lost, and then this year I think he's already got 3 or 4. And on some of them, it's been on just basic handoffs or just getting the snap, or he's getting rushed and just gets the ball knocked out. So I understand. I do agree that I think you do have to put some faith in your quarterback at that point, especially with an athlete like Justin Fields, even though I don't like him, and give him that ability to do the tush push or brotherly love, however you want to say it. You got to give him. You got to show him that you have faith in him, and then I think that will in turn give him the confidence in himself to be able to do it. But I 100% understand why the Bears would be like, we're going to put the ball in Khalil Herbert's hands.
I think
you've been on his side, though. That's what I'm saying. You are saying that we are invested in Justin Fields as the player, as the human being, as our quarterback. They were like, we're going to pick up your team option this year. We're going to get you one more year to show what you can do.
I think that investment is slowly going out the window. I think they're probably going to dish him by the end of this season, or be looking to dish him by the beginning of next season. How do we see scoring going in this game? I've seen a lot of people taking the over. The public is very heavy on the over because these defenses give up a lot of yards and a lot of points. Flip side of that, though, these offenses are terrible. This game last year was 12-7 on Primetime. This game the year before that was also very low scoring,
6-9 or something.
And this game has been played 18 times since I think 1988. The Bears have not won this game since 2008. Fun fact. But it's always been low scoring between these two teams. And you look at recent history, these offenses are not good. I think this could be an incredibly low scoring game. These offenses have both turned the ball over 8 times.
That's disgusting.
Games. I mean, they hardly ever reach the ends. It's just, I don't think there's points in this. There easily could be. There's opportunities for it. I don't know. I see a very low scoring game.
I think
it's going to be a relatively that
it's just going to be a slugfest. Whoever's going to put up a point. There's going to be another point coming soon. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly agree with you over honestly, because last week you saw these offenses kind of do something, and they played against better defenses, and now they're playing against each other, and their defenses are both very bad. So it's like
on the flip side of my low scoring pick there, Chicago ranks 31st in points allowed. Washington ranks 30th. So I mean, there's potential here.
There's games that obviously will come down to turnovers and like whose defense can get that offense off the field. But this game is literally one of them, because I think it's going to be one of those games where almost every possession the offense comes out and scores the ball, either scores a touchdown or kicks a field goal. Yeah. And it's going to be to which defense can just make one stop and get a turnover, or which defense can like just come in clutch and like only give up a field goal or something. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game. I would go with over as well on this one.
Crazy thing is, it could go both ways. Let's be entirely honest. If this game was on a Sunday, this is our garbage shoot pick. And it's not even close.
100%.
It's not even close.
I'm not touching it. I'm not touching
it. Yeah, if this was the 1 o'clock game on Sunday, this is garbage shoot.
No shot. Before we get into our picks, let's look at some player props here. What are we thinking? Justin Fields over or under 45.5 rushing yards?
I think in order to win this game, he has to have over, but I don't think he does.
Okay.
I also agree with that. I think in order for them to win, he has to be over.
Take the over simply because of exactly what you guys just said. He has to. If they want to win this game, he has to be involved on the ground. And 45.5 is an easily obtainable number for Justin Fields. I take the over just because I don't think the Bears have a shot in this game if he's not involved on the ground. He has to be.
That's true.
Terry McLaurin over or under 60.5 receiving yards. He is going for 53 yards per game right now, and the Bears rank 29th in passing defense.
Honestly, I think this is such an easy over. I think Terry McLaurin has like 100+ yards this game.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets open all over that field. So I agree.
I think between him or potentially Brian Robinson or Jahan Dotson, someone's going to have a breakout game here.
Oh, I did forget about Jahan Dotson. He's pretty good.
And I'll get to, when we get to our picks, I'll get to why I think one of those two is bound for a breakout game. But I do take Terry McLaurin on that over just because, like I said earlier, there's a lot of opportunities to get Terry McLaurin plays in space. It doesn't have to be big plays. Get him in space. Make the Bears have to tackle you. Make the Bears make plays. Facts. Is all you got to do, and they're not going to make them. I do take the over there. Here's a fun one. Anytime touchdown scorer. We got Brian Robinson, minus 165. We got Justin Fields, plus 175. Terry McLaurin, plus 180. And DJ Moore, plus 210. The higher the odds, the less likely it technically is, according to Vegas. I think that Brian Robinson is almost a guaranteed. I think Brian Robinson is an anytime touchdown scorer in this game.
Dude is a red zone hawk. He loves just getting to that goal line and making those touchdowns. He's a beast.
Yeah, I feel like that one's a layup of an answer.
I think he could have 2 touchdowns in this game realistically. I don't want to call Justin Fields a lock because there's a very good chance he doesn't get involved in the run game here. And for a quarterback to be an anytime touchdown scorer, they have to get into the end zone on their legs. Passing touchdowns do not count.
Rushing.
Yep. I would also. Oh, it does have to be a rushing touchdown. Yep. Oh, never mind then. I was going to say Terry McLaurin then, but.
No, like wide receivers receiving touchdowns. I was going to say. Yeah. But for quarterbacks, they have to get in on their own 2 feet.
On their legs. Gotcha.
Terry
McLaurin would be the other one.
If I were to put money on any of these, it's both Commanders players. It's Brian Robinson and Terry McLaurin. I
agree.
And in that case, I think my brain's starting to convince me that the Commanders might run away with this one. Even more fun, first touchdown scorer. These are always astronomical odds. There's no way to know this, but it's fun. Here's my pick. Jahan Dotson plus 1,100. Jahan Dotson has not produced on this team this season. The Bears cannot defend the pass. Jahan Dotson is bound to get some attention. In a game like this, he is bound to get some attention. You have to get him attention. I think he's a third-year player. That guy wants snaps. He wants targets. He's bound to get those targets in a game like this. I think he could open up this game with first touchdown. Other options on the list here: Brian Robinson, Justin Fields, and Terry McLaurin.
I think
Scary Terry.
That's who I was going to say.
I think it's a passing.
You can expand on it, Zach. Go crazy.
I think at the beginning of the game, I think Washington's gonna want to come out and make a statement, and they're gonna hit Terry on like a deep post, and he's gonna be wide open and catch it for a touchdown.
I like it.
Walk into the end zone.
I definitely think it's a receiving touchdown. I don't know if you can bet on that, but I definitely think a receiving touchdown is your first touchdown of this game. I like 100%. Dotson to get involved here. Boys, do we want to make our picks?
Bring it on, baby.
So
I'm making my pick.
Before we move on to other games, Thursday night football might have started already, but we have not seen any of it, just to give you that context. Let's make our picks. Zach, I'm going to have you go first here.
I think this is an easy answer. Give me Washington. Give me them to cover. I think Washington kind of runs away with this game, and I think it's a high-scoring, one-sided game.
Okay. You have picked that blowout all week. I respect that. I respect you sticking with that pick, even after everything we've talked about here. I like it.
I do not like the Bears offense at all.
Joe, I've got you.
And I think Chase Young's gonna have a coming out party.
I would like, in my heart of hearts, to pick the Chicago Bears. I really would. I have wanted this Bears team to be good the moment Justin Fields stepped in as the quarterback. I have no other words of explanation other than I think he is a good player and he deserves the shot that he is given.
I like it.
That being said, he has not played the way that you would like as a fan of the player. I think he has a chance to have a really good game this week because of how bad Washington's defense is. But I also think that Sam Howell has looked like a different type of player this year when he's throwing the football. When he gets a good, solid pocket, that dude delivers dots.
He's got a good ball.
He does.
All over the field. And they have some wide receivers, in Washington that are pretty all right. Scary Terry being one of them. I love that guy. I think Washington ultimately wins this, and I would also pick them to cover. I don't think Chicago's going to make it a 3-point game.
Like it. The graphic might read all three of the same team again this week. I'll give my pick. This game to me comes down to explosive plays. This game comes down to not explosive plays, but the explosive play. Whichever team can hit that one or two massive plays wins this game. Because to me, it is low scoring. That is how I view this game. Just because the two stats contradict each other so much, I think this game's low scoring. It comes down to that 1, 2, maybe 3 explosive plays. That is the team that wins this game. And to me, the Washington Commanders have a much, much better chance of gaining those explosive plays. The Bears, Justin Fields, like I said, has to command this game, and that extremely limits your ability to get those explosive plays. The Commanders have players all over that can make plays in space. They have Sam Howell who can deliver the ball and run the ball. The Bears, like I said, can't tackle. The Commanders have everything lined up for them to make those plays. Nice. And to me, at that point, it's a no-brainer that I pick the Commanders. With that said, boys, our spread from our power ratings this week I ran all the spreads in our power ratings, and the one spread that our computer spit out that agreed with Vegas's odds was this game. It put the Commanders as a 5.5-point favorite. Every other game it disagreed on. This game it was exactly on. Give me the Commanders to cover that 5.5. I'm trusting the computer on this one without a doubt.
Yeah, this is such a hard game to bet on, but if I'm betting on it, I'm 100% betting the cover.
This is a horrible game.
Yeah, if you're getting into sports betting or you're trying it out, don't do this one.
I follow quite a few sports betting accounts on Twitter just because they're interesting. Those dudes go so in depth with this stuff, and I'd love to get to that point as well. Not quite as insane. These guys put out data sheets on data sheets on data sheets and spend their whole lives doing this stuff, but all of them refused to put out a parlay for tonight's game.
I do not blame them.
That's how awful. From a betting standpoint, that is how awful this game is.
You have no idea what can happen.
You boys ready to reveal our power ratings?
Let's reveal the new week's power ratings.
Let's
Let's do it.
Technically, if you know, you've seen the first ones. But episode 1 doesn't exist due to technical error. So if you don't know and you're new here, it's time for the light poll. It is time for our very own NFL power ratings, designed by ourselves. It's our very own model. This computer right here spits this model out for us. Essentially, it's going to spit out 2 numbers. It is going to spit out our power ratings, which rates teams based on their important metrics to winning football games, rates them on a scale of, I think, 100 to 100, or 0 to 150, rates them on a scale of that range, and spits out those ratings and essentially tries to determine who would beat who on a neutral field. And then off of that, we have our power rankings, which takes those ratings, averages them out with all 3 of our rankings, and spits out an official rankings. And that is what we call the light poll. So without further ado, it is time to release the week 5 light poll ratings.
With the obvious number
Here we
1.
are. I don't know if you guys have it pulled up or not. The obvious number 1 still. You got to beat the man to beat the man. The 49ers are still number 1. Believe the computer agrees with that. That is the one pick on the board that the computer agrees with. Eagles at 2, Bills at 3, Dolphins at 4, Ravens at 5 to round out the top 5. What sticks out here?
Hey, let's go.
All right, top 6. We got Lions right there as well. What sticks out here?
Honestly, the big thing that kind of sticks out to me is the Texans. I do agree. I think they are a very good team, but I was kind of surprised that you guys agreed with that. I didn't know how you felt about the Texans, and I'm kind of high on CJ Stroud. I
really like the Texans. We all rated them very highly. The computer actually rated them 1 higher at number 12.
Yeah, that was the other thing I'm kind of surprised with.
That Chiefs one does and doesn't surprise me. Metric-wise, the Chiefs have not looked good enough to be in that top 5. To the eyes, I think they still look like a contender to everybody out there. And top 8 is a contender. But to the metrics, which is what these ratings are, they simply don't. So that number 8 rating doesn't confuse me too much. What does confuse me is the computer put them 10.
I honestly, I could see them being at number 10 with the 9 and 10 teams. Seeing the Seahawks and Bucks, I could definitely see them being behind those 2 teams.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy for me to think that the Chiefs could be worse than the Bucks right now, but Baker Mayfield has got that offense looking kind of nice, and their defense is still very good.
So another one that stands out to me, the Cardinals are at 27th. The computer believes that they should be at 19th.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Believes that they should be at 19th.
That's disgusting.
This last game boosts that a lot, obviously. Very good on Sunday, but
I think the last 2 games
they've definitely been improving. Well. They've definitely been improving. Titans, the computer believes, should be at 18. They're at 21.
The other one, the Broncos, we have them at 30. The computer thinking they're at 22 is also absurd.
Here's the thing: the Broncos look at their metrics. The only reason they stand out to the computer is because they have scored quite a few points. Their yards per point is also fairly low as well, meaning they don't have to gain as many yards per point that they score, which is a good metric in determining spreads. They do score a lot of points on offense still, so that's kind of why the computer favors them right now. They also have a really difficult schedule. Strength of schedule is weighted in there as well. There are things to look at with that Broncos team and why the computer would see a bit higher.
Is that no way that says Eagles at 6?
Yes, 5. Eagles at 5.
5.
They've been kind of struggling. Like, they've had points in each of their games where they have had struggles. Yes, they have won every game they have played, but if you look at their games as a whole, I think they have had multiple opportunities where they could have taken L's this year, but
Yeah.
they somehow they find a way, like the Eagles do, to pull out a
The
W.
Eagles are, I think, only scoring points on 38% of their offensive drives right now, which is astronomically lower than where they were last season. So there's that to look
Terrible.
at as well. Some matchups that the computer really likes here. We've got our computer rated number 14 Colts versus the Titans rated 18th. The computer has the Colts at a -2.5 favorite versus Vegas having the Titans -1.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate that either because the Colts have looked really good. The Titans have looked very iffy. And the Colts
Titans have
Colts
up
have
and
that
down
home field
games for
advantage,
sure.
so that definitely helps in that metric. But that one stood out to me. The Falcons, Texans. Computer has the Texans favored by 1. Falcons are favored. I believe the current line is 2.5.
I would agree with
The computer
one.
flips that to the Texans though. Vikings, Chiefs. I know Zach, this was in your picks for the week. Vikings, Chiefs. The computer has the Chiefs at just 3.5, while Vegas has the Chiefs at 5.5, and that line might have moved down to 4.5 since when I took these odds.
I think it did. I was say I think it did drop to 4.5.
So Vegas is getting a little closer to what our computer is saying. Use those numbers as you will. We don't know how accurate they'll be quite yet, but I'm excited to see how accurate they are.
We tested.
I'm excited to see how accurate they are going forward. All right, boys. We want to attack some spreads.
Let's get into some spreads.
Audience, before you leave,
a lot of covers this week.
Before you leave, audience, it's not the same spread segment that it was last week. Again, if you know, you know, this episode does not exist to the public, but it's not the same spread segment it was last week. We heard your feedback.
Gotta get my back.
I'm a man. I can swallow my pride and I can bounce back. We heard your feedback. You did not like Saturday spreads. So we're coming at you with something just a little bit different here.
Just a touch.
We're coming at you with Spread to Spread, the segment where we go head to head against the spreads, trying to not only pick you guys winners this weekend from college football and the NFL this time around, but also trying to figure out who the king of picks here, who the king of spreads is here. And we each have 9 picks. We each have 9 picks across the board between college and NFL. And we're going to keep a head-to-head tally on these picks week to week. And we're going to find out at the end of the season who can really pick them. So without further ado, I introduce you guys spread to spread. How the records will work. Say Joe were to go on and have the best record this week, he would be 1-0-0. Say Zach were to get second, he would be 0-1-0. Say I were to get third, I would be 0-0-1. So it'll just be a 3-tiered ranking system. Each tier will tell you what ranking they've placed each week. And then at the end, it'll be a point system. We'll multiply those together and figure out our final score. But with that said, let's get to them. Zach, we'll have you do your picks first here.
I'll kick off, and I'm kicking off with the best team in the NFL, the Detroit Fighting Lions, to cover a 9.5 point. I like them against the Panthers. I think that offense is clicking really well. They get Jameson Williams back. They're going to look a lot better. They have a whole different dynamic coming. And the Panthers defense is shaky at best. And I believe that Bryce Young is still questionable going into this game, especially if they don't have Bryce Young. That game's going to be a lot scarier. And I know I said this last week, but I think CJ Gardner-Johnson and Kirby Joseph are both touted to come back this week, and they got a healthy O-line. I could go on for days about that game. Lions plus 9.5. Next game, kind of not really a bold one, but big cover. I like the Dolphins to cover the 10.5 point spread on the New York Giants. I think the New York Giants are one of the worst football teams in the NFL right now. That offense is abysmal. They don't have Saquon Barkley. I think Dolphins have quite a bounce back week this week against.
Also, not a happy family in that locker room right now.
Not happy. Not a lot good going for him. Brian Dable kind of showed his true colors on how he feels about Daniel Jones after that pick 6. I think Dolphins have a bounce back week after kind of getting embarrassed by the Bills. They come out and they just kind of stomp the Giants at home. Next one, I like Baltimore beating the Steelers. Sorry, Jay. I know you're a Steelers fan, but Baltimore is coming, and I think Lamar Jackson kind of puts up that he should be in a conversation for an MVP this game, and has a very good game against, I think, a very good defense, and shows that he can throw the football. And again, another offense that looks literally abysmal. And Kenny Pickett is also, I don't think he's playing this week. I don't know for sure on that.
He says he wants to. It's going to be a game time decision. He says he wants to, but that could also limit the team as well.
But either way, he still won't be 100%.
Yeah.
So my Siri just came on.
You got Bengals next?
What's going on? My Siri won't go away.
We can still hear you.
Okay.
You got Bengals?
Yeah, next game, Bengals, 5.5 points. I think they've got him covering the Jags. I think the Bengals kind of have a coming out party. That offense has another offense that has not looked good. 32nd in the NFL, actually. But I think Joe Burrow kind of gets things together. That offense starts clicking. They're due for something. And I think I do not like this Jacksonville Jaguars team. I think they're a lot shakier than what people are saying. Give me the Bengals -3.
Like it.
Next one is the Bengals against Cardinals. Sorry, I just said Jags. Bengals at Cardinals. Next one is the Bills at the Jags in London.
Yeah, it was in London technically.
This is the one London game, and I think the Bills. I really think the Bills run away with this game. They dominated what we thought was one of the best teams in the NFL last week. They kind of dominate this one here again, and I got them covering that 5.5 point spread. Josh Allen comes out and
you want a confidence boost in this Bills game? Our computer has the Bills -10.5. Metrically, they dominate this Jags team.
Honestly, if this was a 10.5 point spread, I think I'd still take a cover.
What do you got next?
This last NFL game I got, and Joe, this is against you, and Ethan, if you saw Tuesday night. They are big fans of this Chiefs game, but I like the Vikings I like the Vikings +5.5. I think they win this game outright, but if they lose, they're not losing by more than 5.5.
Like it.
I think Kirk Cousins is showing that he is a top quarterback in this league with his passing yards, and Jettas is obviously one of the best receivers in this league. And I think we're seeing that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are human, and that offense is not nearly as good as what we thought. I think they kind of get it together this week against a shaky defense, but I think the Vikings still pulled out. Moving on to college here.
So you got 3 college picks now.
3 college games. This one I'm kind of surprised that it's only a 2.5 point favorite. I got Alabama at Texas A&M, and I got Alabama covering that -2.5. That Alabama offense is scary. I think that they kind of show out this week, and they show that they're still Alabama, and they don't play around in the SEC, and they show that they still want to win that SEC. And I think they take Texas A&M kind of to the shed and take them.
You got 2 big spreads now.
2 big spreads. Ohio State and Michigan both covering a 19.5 point spread. I think this is your right here is your battle for the Big Ten, and these 2 teams are going to prove that they are competing for this national championship, and they have statement victories against Maryland and Minnesota here. Ohio State, obviously their offense looks scary good, and JJ McCarthy is one of the best quarterbacks in the country at Michigan, and I think they run away with these games.
Those are your 9?
That's my 9.
Confident in those?
I'm confident in them.
I like it.
A lot of spreads covering, but I'm going with them.
I'm going to go pretty quick through these. I got my 9 up now. I got 5 college games first. Red River rivalry, Oklahoma versus Texas. Oklahoma looks really, really good in this one. Metrically, they're not as tested as Texas, but it's an emotionally high game, the most emotionally high game in college football every year, other than possibly the big game, which is Michigan-Ohio State. I think there's no way Oklahoma loses this game by a touchdown. It's been close every single year. Give me Oklahoma +6.5. Fresno State, they are taking on Wyoming. They have dominated the Mountain West so far this season. They are currently 4-1 against the spread. Give me that 5.5 point spread against Wyoming. You are on the road, but still. Arizona +21.5. Arizona is 2-2 against the spread so far this season, but they're 2-0 in spreads that are 20 points or more. USC does not cover the spread well. I believe they're 1-3 3 or 1-4 against the spread so far. Give me Arizona to cover that 21.5. Zach, I'm going against you here. I got Maryland plus 19.5 against Ohio State. Maryland's putting up over 35 points per game right now. Ohio State is 1-3 against the spread. They're not good in big spread games. Maryland's putting up a lot of points. I don't think they win that game, but I do think they have something to prove in the Big Ten. They're not talked about as much as Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Give me that 19.5. Maryland are they at home or are they on the road? They're on the road at Ohio State, but either way, give me that 19.5. Virginia Tech plus 23.5. I know you're playing Florida State, but Florida State has not blown out anybody this season. Every game has been close. Virginia Tech has also been fairly good against the spread. They're not good against the spread on the road, but still 23.5. I don't see Virginia Tech losing this game by 4 big scores. I just don't see that happening. Give me the Hokies in that one. On to my NFL picks. I got 4 of them here. Texans plus 2.5 taking on the Falcons. I believe our computer had the Texans as a -1 in this game.
Yep.
I'm trusting that. The Texans have looked phenomenal. CJ Stroud, 1,200 yards, 0 interceptions so far this season. Dude's looking wrong with Zach. The Panthers haven't looked great. They've got some injury questions. Defense hasn't looked good. Lions are going to be in that backfield, terrifying whatever quarterback is back there all game. So give me the Lions to cover that 9.5. Are you at home in that one? Yes. Give me the Lions.
In Detroit.
Give me the Lions by 2 touchdowns. I am going against you on another one here, I believe, Zach. I'm taking Cardinals plus 3.5 against the Bengals. The Cardinals are at home. Our computer, once again, put this as a 1-point favorite for the Cardinals. Home field advantage was factored into that. But Cardinals were favored under our metrics. Cardinals have looked really, really good the last 2 weeks. They're improving tremendously. And the Bengals still have not looked great. Yes, they could be due for their blow-up game. I get that angle, but my brain goes the other way. Give me the Cardinals to at least cover that one. 49ers minus 3.5. I think you're at home. You're in prime time. Dak doesn't do good in prime time. 49ers are perfect against the spread. 49ers are scoring on, I believe, over 80% of their offensive drives. They're scoring on 3 out of every 4 drives, so at least over 75%. They have not, so I think it was 83% of their drives, they have not turned the ball over or punted. I mean, that is insane. They're leaving 83% of their drives with some form of points. They're scoring exactly 30 a game right now. And this 49ers team is too good. You got to beat the man to be the man. Give me the 49ers to cover that 3.5 at home. Those are my picks. I am extremely confident in those. I'm excited to see how this goes. Joe, give us yours.
All right. We're going to start off with a Texas Tech team that has been up and down this year. I believe they're 2-3, not looking great. Also, Baylor, 2-3, I think, not having a great time. They are in Waco for this game. I am picking against Baylor again. I know it bit me last week because, UCF I had a lot of faith in. They did not play the game that I thought they were going to play. I think this Texas Tech team is better offensively than that UCF team is. This Baylor defense is still abysmal to me. I like Texas Tech 1.5 covering that spread. Up next, I got Notre Dame, and I'm going to keep riding this Notre Dame team. I know how much Zach does not like it.
Get out of here.
He professes, Rudy was offsides.
Rudy was offsides, baby.
You know what? It's fine. It's fine. You can live with that every day of your life. I think this Notre Dame team, I've been saying it the last couple episodes. I think this Notre Dame team is destined to potentially do something this year. I think Marcus Freeman has these boys doing the right things, playing the game the right way. I think Louisville is a good team, and they have had a good couple games stretch here, but I think Notre Dame walks away with it at least by a touchdown. So give me that 6.5 spread. Up next, we got North Carolina versus the Cuse. I refused to pick against Syracuse last week because I don't like picking the Syracuse-Clemson games. Those games are just not that appealing to me. They're always weird. Something always happens. But this North Carolina team with Mac Brown, I think that they are very good offensively. Drake May is looking like a Heisman hopeful. down there in Tar Heel country. I think North Carolina runs away with this. I think it's definitely +8. Give me 2 scores on that one for
I like
sure.
it.
Up next, I'm picking Marshall again. This is an outright win. NC State has looked up and down. They have not been able to find their identity. I believe that this Marshall team has an identity and are playing the right way and playing the game.
1 second. So Joe has 2 money line picks on his board. So for these to be winners, the upsets have to happen, not just the cover. I do love the 2 picks though, but the upsets have to happen.
I'm picking Marshall to upset NC State. Marshall hasn't lost a game this year. Who knows if they will?
Why are you so high on Marshall this year? What's going on?
Because they've been good.
Hey, man, the Thundering Herd, man. I like these small schools winning games. I don't know.
Joe likes his Disney movies. You got the Jets next?
Exactly. Up next, I got the Jets 1.5 against the Broncos. I think Zach Wilson has found something against that Chiefs team that he will be able to emulate against this Broncos defense that Justin Fields cut up and made look not that good, for 3.5 quarters. I think Zach Wilson comes in with confidence. I think this defense does not let Russ cook. Russ is doing no cooking in this game. Give me Jets 1.5. They're definitely covering it.
Jets country, Chiefs, let's fly.
Chiefs 4.5 over the Vikings. They're playing in Minnesota. I know Zach has picked the Vikings in this game, but I'm not keen on giving up on the Chiefs yet. Their defense has been a little banged up. They've missed a couple players. I think Nick Bolton was out for a game or two, and he's a huge stud in the middle of that defense. I think the offense with Mahomes is now taking accountability for how bad the passing offense has been, which I think is huge. I think they're going to get fired up after that game that they should have lost to the Jets.
I'm
not going to sugarcoat it. Should have lost to the Jets. I think they're going to be fired up. They're going to go into Minneapolis and win that ball game. 4.5. Give me at least a touchdown on that one.
Love it.
Up next, I got the Colts covering the 2.5 spread against the Titans. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts end up winning this game. I think the Colts are a better team at this point. Their defense is playing better. Their offense is actually looking like a decent offense. Anthony Richardson, in his short time, is playing well and making this Colts team look pretty good. The Titans offense, we still have no idea. Ryan Tannehill does not look like the Ryan Tannehill of old. And Derrick Henry is, having a little bit more of a resurgence. So I think the Colts cover that 2.5. I wouldn't be surprised if they win. Up next, I got the Ravens 4.5 over the Steelers. Zach has already picked this game. I completely agree. I think this Ravens defense is going to get after Kenny Pickett all game. They need some help with that offense. Matt Canada has no idea what the heck he's doing in Pittsburgh.
Like Brian Ferentz.
It's looking real bad. And I think Lamar, I agree with Zach. Yikes. I think Lamar has a good looking outing for sure. Possible MVP candidate, this year. So he needs a good game to put himself in the actual conversation. And I think he has a good opportunity to do it against the Steelers. And my last pick,
love this one. Love this pick.
We talked about it in the Tuesday episode a little bit, but I am going to take Washington State to not only cover, but to upset, or it's not even an upset. I don't think it's an upset. I think Washington State is a better team, and at every aspect of the game. I think they're still out to prove something this year. Give me Wazoo, give me the Cougars over the Bruins. I think this is Washington State's Pac-12 to lose at this point.
Washington State and Oregon State versus the world right now, baby.
How dare you bet against Lonzo Ball?
I love those picks. I love the confidence. I want to point out that as far as our NFL picks go, our underdog spreads, the plus spreads, the computer spreads agreed with us on all of our plus spreads except for, I think, one. So we'll see how those go. We'll see if our computer's accurate, That is going to do it for live episode 2. Again, episode 1, if you know, you know.
That can be
the lore of the channel, the Phantom episode 1. Episode 2 is in the book,
Fave.
so we hope you guys find a way to enjoy this Thursday night football game. We hope you guys enjoyed Spread to Spread. Let us know a little feedback on that. We hope you guys enjoy the light poll. I love that. I love diving into those analytics every
so
week.
great.
We love you guys. That was a great Thursday night. We're excited to see you guys again on Tuesday. Excited to see you guys back here live again next Thursday. That's going to do it. Not next Thursday.
Not next Thursday.
Not next Thursday.
These two will be gone. We only have Tuesday
weeks.
next week. Only have Tuesday next week.
Only
So
got
2
Tuesday.
weeks until our next live. We're sorry about that, but it doesn't make sense to do live without all three of us. So 2 weeks until the next live. That's gonna do it for live episode 2. And we're gonna see you
Give us the
guys.
works.
We're gonna see you guys on Tuesday. Peace.